It's the third Saturday of the month, which means we are back here with TVGP's Game Club. This time for Life is Strange True Colors. I'm your host, Boston, and play this on the PlayStation 5, joined as always by Moonpier.
Howdy, Series X and also cloud gaming.
Oh, and Musum.
PS5.
Here, before we get started, let's talk about just a quick side note here. We're going to talk about, after we do the little intro thing here, we're going to talk about everything True Colors here. So this is kind of your spoiler warning here at this point. Much like Life is Strange 2 last year, we're going to kind of break down the entire thing. We're not going to hide any spoilers or anything. We'll probably talk a little bit about 1 Before the Storm and 2, but I'm not sure if we'll spoil those or not. Probably not. But if we do, we'll try and mention something there. Let's talk about the game itself. Released September 10th, 2021. Released December 7th, 2021 on Switch. Published by Square Enix Europe. Developed by Deck 9. Let's do time travel here. Metacritic was 78. OpenCritic was 81. Appears for this release date, The Artful Escape. That experience that came out last year.
The right word. Definitely the right word.
Tales of Arise, Deathloop, and Psychonauts 2. Let's ask a question we ask every month. Was the game top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
When it came out, I think this was middle. I think it was at the end of the year when everybody got in the we need to rush and play everything that came out for Game of the Year stuff.
Right.
That is when this thing the cream started to rise to the top of the pack, we might say.
I think that's fair, because I think that the feedback from a lot of people when it came out was, oh, they got a new one of those. Oh, okay, cool. I played that first one. I liked that one.
Yeah, I feel like it got a lot of advertising, but not a lot of, editorial press.
Yeah, that's true.
It probably didn't help that this was delayed, and then in coordination with that, the remastered versions that came with the Super Deluxe Edition were delayed even further past the release of this.
That's true. Yeah. Well, and their Deck 9 tried something different with this one by just releasing all 5 episodes all at once, as opposed to kind of getting the hype going episode over episode. So, yeah, I would agree with you. I think it moved from kind of middle to top, and I haven't heard too much about it this year, but I think everybody that was going to play it played it last year. So,
speaking of which, minor show notes thing aside here. Minor aside, everybody stop listening, please, for 2 seconds.
Okay,
hey,
sure.
Boston.
Yeah.
I can't remember the rules. We're okay putting games from last year on this year's Game of the Year list, right? I think we pretty much done away with that rule.
Hey, man, it's up to you. That's not my choice, but it's all good. Whatever.
Okay, I'm just checking. Just checking.
Yeah, it's all fine. You want to put something from 1995? Then maybe that's different, but whatever. Who cares? Before we could dive into it, let's talk about our next game, just in case you're kind of tapping out because of spoilers. Next game we're going to play Umurangi Generation. It's out on Switch, PC, and Xbox One. It is on Game Pass currently, so go check it out. And like Moonpier just found out here before we started, despite its name and cover art, it's not a JRPG.
Yep.
It's an open world photography game.
Don't let the personality of my co-hosts fool you, and I'm including both of them when I say
That's
that.
right.
Don't let them fool you. This isn't a JRPG.
We're both JRPG trash pandas. It's okay. All right, let's dive into the game itself here with episode 1, which is called Side A. We meet Alex Chen, our emotions-feeling protagonist.
So this was my second time playing through the game.
Okay.
Which kind of reignited my love for the game. The first time I played through it, I had some moral trepidation with some of what Alex did, because she's effectively emotionally manipulating people.
Sure.
Did you guys? I know the game kind of dances around some of that, and then some of it just kind of asks you to ignore and tries to make a human picture. Like, was that disorienting? Did you guys have any, like, I don't know, feel
the first time it really made me feel questionable as to whether or not I should do it or not is the choice in chapter 3, where it specifically says,
okay,
is this something you want to do or not, because this is going to have very serious consequences.
I feel like the game never really like creeped me out or made me feel icky or anything. I think it toes that line, especially at the beginning of the game, really well, where it's just kind of like, I think it's always kind of nudging you and be like, hey, wouldn't you want to know what everyone's really thinking about you? Like how people are really feeling?
No,
but it never
100% no.
Yeah, but it never really gets like weird about it. I think Alex's internal dialogue helps a lot of just like, she genuinely, the majority of the time, wants to help. So like someone's upset or someone's frustrated or like scattered or whatever, and her internal dialogue does a lot of heavy lifting saying, maybe if I could just tell what's going on with them, maybe I can help. And then she does her little, on the PS5, the controller goes nuts as she dives into their feelings. And for me, I think that helped a lot to make me feel a lot better.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think the majority of the time, it's kind of a voyeurism kind of thing.
Sure.
But it's not necessarily in a bad way. It's more just a vibe check kind of thing.
Right. It's never Alex talking about bank passwords, and she's like, all right, I got him. Zoom. It's like, I got it.
It's always just like, well, I feel like I'm making this person uncomfortable when it's not. They're uncomfortable for a different reason.
Right.
And I don't feel like she ever oversteps her bounds really that much. Maybe like one or two instances.
Mm-hmm.
The main instance that bothered me, and it's one of those instances that's like, well, I feel like I did a wrong thing here definitively, and that was the first time, well, when you manipulate Diane.
Mm-hmm.
But Diane's a terrible person. You just don't know that yet.
Right.
That is the part where it's raising some questions, but at the same time, Diane's got like a red flag factory by herself. Like the way she says things is just ridiculous. Like she never speaks as a person; she always speaks as the company.
Yeah, she's always heavily towing the corporate line.
Yeah, so I didn't feel too bad about that because I almost swore, screw capitalism.
Right.
I will say, this is probably my favorite protagonist in the Life is Strange series.
100%. I feel strongly about how great Alex is because Deck 9 did some sort of dark magic to massively improve the facial animation system in this game. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, if this was in the first game, I'm not sure I'd be able to make it all the way through that without like breaking down in tears every episode. Like, it makes such a huge, even in the like that very first shot of the game where the doctor's talking to Alex as she's getting discharged, like the facial animation stuff immediately is like, wow, you guys did some stuff here. Like you spent some time making this incredible.
And it's a completely different company that did it. Like, I looked up a quote that I wanted to say to make a comparison. Like, so when Johnny Cash covered Trent Reznor's Hurt, Trent Reznor gave the quote, once Johnny Cash covers your song, it's not your song anymore. And that is how I feel about this company doing Life is Strange. I think this is actually my favorite Life is Strange game.
Yeah, because Don't Nod did 1 and 2, and Deck 9 did Life Before the Storm and
Before the Storm and this one.
Yeah. And like 1 still is like my second place, but this one it floored me the first time, and I wasn't ready to commit it to that favorite spot. And the second time now, a year or whatever later, is like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was also the fact that I related so much to Alex. Like they wrote Alex as someone who is broken beyond belief, bitter as hell,
Mm-hmm.
but still has that tiny little spark of hope. Like, no matter what happens, they've always got that little spark of hope, that ability to be positive about something, even though you're really worried it's going to be negative. And it's like, oh, hey, look, it's me in a video game. It's like,
Yeah, I think Ryan in the third episode, I think, said something in my playthrough, which is like, you've had, essentially, paraphrasing here, essentially, you've had a really bad go of it, but you still see the best in people. I think that's like a
troll moment. You see into
yeah,
people's hearts.
Right. And you still like believe the best in people. And it's like, yeah, that's Alex. That's a good, yeah.
They did so good with like all the characters in this game. Like I did. So, did you guys know Gabe was going to die going into it?
Absolutely not. Like
What'd
one
say,
of
Moon?
Moon said no, I think.
Okay.
No.
It's like that shot at the end of episode 1 is like one of the most shocking shots in Life is Strange history, and that's kind of saying something.
Yeah.
I will say I was expecting something because the Life is Strange game. So I was like, something dark is going to happen. Something very dark is going to happen. It's just what and when is the question.
You're just waiting for them to stab you in the kidneys, and it's like, oh, there it is. Oh, boy.
And it turns out they do it like 4 times throughout this series, throughout this game. So, sure, why not?
And I have to give them a lot of credit, too, for Gabe, because I think the two of them meeting and the two of them, like, kind of reintroducing...
Bad to the Gnome is one of my favorite lines in video games ever.
Bad to the Gnome is really good. But the two of them, like, everybody is a great voice actor in all of these. Like, there hasn't really been anybody that's bad, especially in this one. But man, do they really nail how, like, awkward and hopeful them meeting is. And at the same time, selling how much everybody in this town loves Gabe, even though he's kind of like, even though he's kind of under everybody's skin, everyone's like, all right, it's Gabe, the little scamp.
He is such a doofus.
Yeah, he really is.
It's ridiculous how much of a doofus he is, and they sell him so hard in that entire first episode, and I'm just like, cool. Like, this is a good relationship, I can get behind this kind of thing. And then, So there's something I've gotten into the habit of doing now, which is, but it's thanks to Life is Strange 2, mostly, which is anytime you start a game, if it has a journal, a phone, or anything like that, you go and check and see if there is backstory for it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Life is Strange 2 had that wonderful thing where you had like 6 months of text messages before the game started to read through.
Yep.
To really build people's relationships. I did that in this game too, and I was just like, oh god, I hate these texts. They make me feel so sad and so depressed. Like, there's like one droplet of hope in that in everybody's conversations, and it's the one she has with Gabe. Everything else is just like, oh no, what happened to you? What happened to this person? What happened to this person? Like,
right. Well, and I think that's something that the game never really pushes too hard, but Alex is obviously pretty happy to see Ryan and Steph as kind of like, all right, here's 2 people that are kind of my age. They're sort of trapped in this weird small town. Maybe we can build our own kind of community around this. Steph reprising her role from Before the Storm, which is surprising. I didn't think she would show back up in any of these. Yeah, she's a fairly major part in Before the Storm, but she and...
That why she looked so familiar.
Yeah, she was playing the D&D game on the like out on the lawn with her nerd friends.
Oh, crap. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So did you guys play Steph's story too?
I played probably about an hour of it, and I dipped out because performance on that is bad. It is the main game itself runs and looks great. That didn't run well at all for whatever reason.
I did not have that experience. It's mostly just I won't spoil it, but for anyone who's thinking about spending money on it. It all takes place in the record shop, and it just goes through a couple holidays, and you get some voice acting from Steph, kind of commenting on things, and she goes into some of her backstory.
It seems like it's kind of the bridge between the end of Life is Strange 1, because of the decision it has you make at the beginning of like, did you play Life is Strange 1? Did you do the thing at the end of the game? And then it seems like it was just building to the end of like, here's Alex in the record store on her first day.
So I opted to save Chloe in Life is Strange 1, so it really put salt in that
wound.
Oh,
no. Life is Strange 2 and this game is just like, man, what did you do?
Yeah. Hey, did you know this game has consequences? Spoiler alert, you won't see it for 7 years, but you'll see them.
Yeah.
We'll make sure you see them.
It's the first thing that actually made me feel bad about, saving Chloe and decimating the entire town.
Yeah.
So hold on, so you didn't care about that the entirety of Life is Strange 2, especially when you see the wreck and everything else.
No.
You didn't care until this point.
Hey man, Life is Strange 2 had a whole bunch of other stuff it was kicking you in the giblets about the entire time.
No, that's true.
Yeah. And I cared a lot about Chloe. And like, Stephanie is like a functional Chloe.
Sure, yeah.
Holy crap, you're right.
Yep.
She's like a less troubled,
right, less angry.
Like, I wonder if, like, they sat down, they're like, man, Chloe was really charismatic and people liked her a lot. What if we just made her, like, a functional, like, human being?
Right. Yeah.
Less trauma, less PTSD in this way.
Yeah.
So I want to just assume, did you guys all romance Steph or Ryan?
I romance Steph. Ryan is, like... He's nice, but he always kind of like rubbed me the wrong way the entire time. Like, there didn't seem to be any chemistry between him and Alex. Even when I sort of leaned into it a little bit, it never felt kind of as natural as Alex and Steph.
Yeah. Like, I feel like Ryan's a really likable character. Yeah. And I feel like they made Steph and then realized how likable she was, and we're like, crap, we got to keep... How do we fix Ryan to make him a viable choice? And I don't know that they did make him someone that people would want to be with, but he's at least an enjoyable character.
Yeah. What are our big choices here in episode 1? It is keeping Ethan's secret or not, when he says, hey, I'm gonna go explore the old mine. Don't tell my mom. And I was immediately like, I'm telling your mom. What the hell?
100% I told. As soon as he couldn't be found, I was like, no, I'm telling.
No, yeah, he's in the mine. He's over in the old mine. Get him. He's in danger.
So the first time I played the game, I did not tell him.
Okay.
And the second time I did. And it mostly results in they have, like, Alex has a brief moment where I think Gabe actually blames her like a tiny bit, but they kind of resolve it. A lot of the decisions in this game, because I chose a lot of the opposite ones than I did the first time through. There were a few that I had to do the same way. There's no way I could do the opposite choice.
Literally, I was going to ask that question because, like, how do you do that? Because I don't care what I'm playing, unless I have an exterior force pushing me to choose a different direction. I will play. If I played this game again, I would make the same decisions. If I play Life is Strange 1 again, the remastered version, I will make the same decisions. Like, I cannot force myself to make the different decisions, and I don't know why.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it just depends what it is. Like the mind thing, like this game especially had a few decisions where I'm like, I could go either way. I want to win the kid's trust, and the reality is, like, in this game specifically, a lot of the same events still occur. Like, no matter what you choose, you just get different character reactions.
Yeah, my main thing for this game is I'd probably make different decisions on another playthrough, because I feel like I missed a whole bunch of stuff. And either because I was blowing through an episode or two kind of by accident, or it's because I was kind of like, oh, if I take this other decision, it would lead to this other conversation with this other person. So, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I immediately told on him because it was one of those things where like I spent some time reading all of the posters and it was like, no, there's blasting signs everywhere. I
Right.
am
It's
telling.
not going to be good. There's alarms
Yeah.
going off. Like, yeah. Next discussion or next decision here was the big one is you can tell Riley the truth about Mac, and I'm trying to remember here what his
I think that's
big.
chapter 2. Oh no, that's the fight. That's when she gets involved in the fight and Mac tries to cover it up.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
That was one I couldn't. I had to make the same decision on. Like Mac is such
He's an abusive a-hole.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like that abuse needed to be called out. You know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Riley needed out of there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the last big one here is whether or not you tell Gabe the truth about your powers or not.
Yes.
I did for sure on mine. Where it's like, I mean, you might as well just kind of keep bridging the gap, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did that too. Gabe's too cool. You knew he was gonna take it well. You know.
He's so chill about it. This isn't like David from Life is Strange 1, where if you tell him you've got secret time travel powers, he's going to arrest you. Like, Gabe's too chill about the whole thing. Like,
right.
He's a. Is Gabe a himbo?
He's a little too smart to be a himbo, but he's trending himbo. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what a himbo is. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Himbo is somebody who's very kind and helpful, but also very dumb.
Mm.
And then
he's a himbo. I think Ryan trends himbo. I think Gabe is a straight himbo.
That's probably fair.
Real quick, did you guys find the memory in episode 1 of Gabe kicking the wall?
I did.
Okay. I missed that the first time through. Like, that's your one little, like, nugget of, oh, this is probably why he came to David's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just talking about the ending of the first episode, which is Gabe totally dies. The other thing I wanted to call out in episode 1 is I really, really like when you're trying to encourage Ethan to go across the tree trunk to come back to the group, and when the camera swings down and you see the ravine under him and it has the eyes and the mouth, like that manifestation of his fear, like that's a really good. It's like it's super obvious, so it's not like 10 things you might have missed, but it's a real. I like when how they made this like childhood fears kind of manifesting.
This is one of my favorite things about this game as a whole, is because everybody does this. You might not realize you do it. Everybody does it, but everyone sees the world differently depending on how they feel about the world. And whether a literal visual representation or a metaphorical representation, that is how the people who feel the strong emotions see the world. There's a great example in chapter 3, end of chapter 3, which I'm sure we'll get to. That's one of my favorites that they do. But that is so perfect because it's like, yes, this is his fears. These are how they're manifesting to you as a visual representation of how he feels inside. And every single time they do that, it's so great. The clouds with Ryan at the end of 2, I think it is, like that. That whole side is amazing too. Like, it's one of my favorite things. The visual representation of the powers and the emotions is just it's so perfectly done that it's easy to understand, it's crystal clear, and it's like, yeah, I get that this isn't literal, but it's a really striking visual for what's going on in any given moment.
Yeah. Chapter 2's, I believe that was the beginning of that chapter, or like the second scene maybe was the one you were just talking about with the clouds with Ryan, where you're kind of reading his emotions. It's an interesting scene, but I feel like that was my first inkling in this game of like, Ryan's probably not the guy in me, kind of romantically. It's like, you're a nice guy, and I'm glad you're kind of cool about me having a superpower, but I don't think any smooching is going to happen here. Sorry, Ryan.
That was probably the thing that got it for me as well. To be honest, was he's fine. He was too much like Gabe. He's a lovable idiot.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's fine. But I want a little.
I mean,
Despite my actual dietary preferences, I want a little heat in my food. Thank you very much.
do you really want to date someone who buys bird call CDs?
Hey,
Like,
that's right. That's right. No shade to our listeners, but I don't think that's what Alex is into.
Dude, you just spoiled our next patron. Thank you
That's
very
right.
much.
That's
Oh,
right. Caw-caw. The first big decision here is Charlotte, Gabe's girlfriend and Ethan's mom, who owns a weed store, which is like definitely
Dispensary. Thank you very much.
that's just a fancy word for weed store. She is getting essentially like a payoff from Typhon.
Do we want to talk about the wake first, which is how it all kind of kicks off?
Yeah, the wake is real rough, man.
yeah.
That's just a lot of people loved this lovable dummy in town, and it for me it's even rougher because Jed is the one doing most of the talking, and his voice is so good.
It's who is that? I need to know who that is.
I'll look
it
it up.
reminds me of the guy from Ghost Rider, the first Ghost Rider movie.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
No idea.
what it's called.
But Jed was, man, that's a character that caught me way off guard, later on. But like that voice actor, even going through the second time, like knowing what that character's history is.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like Sam Elliott. Yeah.
Like that. Gosh, like they have the seeds in there. Like it's not showing its hand by any means, but like you can tell he is leaving room in his dialogue. Like in that first episode, like they try and bring up the hero stuff, and you think he's just being modest, but like he probably just really doesn't want you to talk about it because he doesn't want to think about it,
He is voiced by Stephen Fuller Austin, who apparently has been in Better Call Saul is probably the biggest thing that he has been in.
He probably doesn't like the fact that there's a giant statue of him literally right outside the bar.
Yeah. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah.
Well, and he's like the most like, I want to help everyone and be this father figure to this town and do all that stuff. So he's just trying to like level out his conscience somehow by doing good,
Right. Yeah, it's that wake was tough. Typhon, of course, what's her name? Diane from Typhon?
Yeah.
She's there kind of, full investigation, etc., etc. But, wink.
Oh, hey, real quick.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. Pike.
Yeah, the cowardly cop.
So a cop pulling a prank on you in the first episode, not funny and not cool.
Yeah, not cool, no. Pike. You suck.
When did this game come out? Was it last year?
It was last year, yeah. Not real. Real's like small town doofus cop. Like
I'm curious if that's something they maybe regret considering the past 3 years. Like maybe it was just in development from that point.
Yeah, maybe.
Really?
I mean, you have a spineless cop, right? Like he's not willing to go against the corporate income in town,
and probably not a lot of stuff for him to do in town anyway. Since there's like 20 people living there.
Yeah.
His memory in chapter 1?
I don't remember.
It is Diane crawling all over him when she's drunk as hell, trying to get him to sleep with her.
Oh no, Diane.
Oh,
girl, what is he doing?
That memory of the card, that was Diane doing that?
Yep, that was Diane and him, which I only figured out because it said Diane in the subtitles. I wouldn't have known it was her except for that.
Right.
But yeah, that's her, hammered as hell. He's taking her home to make sure she gets home safely, and she's just like dumping all of the praise on him, and which is why in chapter 5 there is an emotional attachment argument that gets thrown up by Diane, which is because of that connection.
Gotcha. Okay, maybe I must have missed that one. That's interesting. But yeah, Charlotte asks you, like, hey man, Typhon's gonna give me, like, a lot of money. Like, I can pay for college money. What should I do? And I was like, dude, you should take the money. Like,
Nope.
I told
Do
her,
not
like,
sign that thing.
milk this corporation. It sucks, and it is a little icky. But man, your kid could go to college. We live in America, this like capitalist hellscape. So like, milk them for whatever they're worth.
Yeah,
That is
I
true.
did.
Well,
Sorry,
go ahead, Musu. No, you go first. I demand to be the politer gentleman here. You go first.
Okay. You are English. I did for my first playthrough, and it's probably the one I'd do again. Is I encourage Charlotte to take the money. Like I have a similar attitude as Boston of like, I'm taking this company down either way. You may as well get paid off of it.
Right.
The second time through, I didn't, and there didn't really seem to be any repercussions for it. Like if she takes the money, she gets like a little bit of a guilt trip later. But
yeah.
But I say that my first playthrough, she didn't side with me at all. But I did a series of, I don't know.
Yeah.
I took her anger that first playthrough. So.
Okay. Right.
That's probably the reason why would be my guess.
Yeah. Like, did you guys? I know I'm skipping ahead. But real quick, did you guys take the anger or not?
Absolutely not. No, that was the easiest choice in this game. Was like, hey, do you want to take her anger? And I was like, no, that sounds bad for everybody. That's crossing a line.
So for me, it was one thing mostly. It was she needs to deal with it because she's gone through some crap right now. So she needs to, as someone with anger issues, she needs to get over this and deal with it in a healthy way. But also, she's an artist. If I take this, what else do I take, whether willfully or accidentally?
Okay.
This emotions are fuel for art, like they are.
Sure.
So
yeah, it really kind of damages her. It's one of the more. It might be the most significant decision in the game, honestly. Because like taking it later on, like she stops. She gets really numb in a lot of ways. She sides with Diane. She's very like, she's still kind of short with you. Like it does not do her good. And I wasn't, the first time through, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to experiment and see what this game wants to do or what it's saying.
Sure.
But it had such a, and the other thing is it makes Alex have that anger.
Sure.
There's a moment in Alex's room later where Steph and Ryan are in there, and Alex just goes off on Steph, and Steph leaves and doesn't help with the
laptop.
I don't know, the laptop or something.
Wow, interesting. Okay. Other big decision here is informing Eleanor about what has happened to Gabe. I don't remember my choice in this one. I feel like the game is going out of its way to say like, hey, she's losing her memory due to something. I feel like I probably spared her the knowledge of that, but I don't remember 100%.
Did Riley stay or go?
Riley stayed.
So you didn't tell her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did tell her, and Riley still left.
It's a pretty heartbreaking scene, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is one of the things that affected me, because I have dealt with somebody who had dementia, a close family friend. A close family member who had dementia, who is partially responsible for me being the way I am. And seeing that effect and having to tell someone the same thing over and over again, good or bad, and seeing that reaction over and over and over again, this scene almost broke me. Like, I'm not going to lie, because it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I don't want to do this in a video game. I did this in real life.
Right. This is
you, Life
hitting
is
a little
Strange.
too close to home. Yeah.
I hear you there, man. Like, I cried several times during my second playthrough of this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things. It was like I made her deal with it because she needs the help understanding that she has an issue, but also she doesn't want to affect Riley. So who knows? Because the way the game ended, but fingers crossed she got help that wasn't Riley at the end of the game.
Right.
Because she wants Riley to do her thing, whereas she can't really do her own thing anymore. So fingers crossed, somebody else came in and helped.
Yeah.
The last large decision here is Mac and his panic attack, where you run into him on the bridge and he's freaking out. And you initially think it's because he thinks he caused Gabe's death, and it turns out, no, he called and told Typhon, like, hey, we got a kid and some peeps down there. You really need to stop the blast, and it still went off anyway. So you can calm him down or kind of leave him alone to keep freaking out. I'm 99% sure I calmed him down in this one.
Yeah,
because he's a real jerk, but he did the right thing, and still things went wrong, which we discover why later. But I kind of felt badly for him at this point, saying like, I mean, you did do the right thing, even though you had tried to attack Gabe earlier. So like, there's a good person in there somewhere.
He needs a path to redemption, and I'm happy the game kind of gave that to him. Like, he still is icky kind of throughout the game, but he's not an antagonist, I think. So
right. And chapter 2 ends with, we're gonna take down Typhon. I was like, wait, the what? The who now? So let's move on to chapter 3, probably the more memorable chapter of any of the Life is Strange games. My
favorite moment in the entire franchise. I love it.
Yeah, we've been sort of. Steph has been very excited about an upcoming LARP that is going to be taking place in town. One of the more heartwarming moments of this game, of the whole town coming together to kind of try to cheer Ethan up, which it is also. I like how they play Ethan a lot in this, where he's kind of like, I'm sorry,
we can't jump straight to the LARP. We have to talk about the theft of the USB device.
We will, but I like how Ethan is hesitant to go overall because he doesn't want to go there and fake being happy. And I like how they handle that. Instead of like, yeah, I'm super pumped, he's like, no, like, Gabe is still dead, man. I'm super sad about it. Like, this, I can go do the LARP, but like, I'm still bummed out. And I like that you get the option of like, yeah, man, be bummed out. It's all good. Yeah. Your first big choice here is Diane has a Typhon USB here. Should Steph or Ryan go hit on Diane? Steph, 100%. Ryan's just like, I could like talk to her, and Steph is like,
this is where that facial animation you were talking about comes into play so hard in this chapter.
Yep.
Because in that conversation, they're arguing over who should go and do it, which I like the fact that they are, workshopping the plan, and it's two plans, but it's actually just one plan. But they're arguing over who should go and hit on Diane, and Ryan's argument is, well, transplants, they love that, the big, tall, bearded man of the mountain.
The local boy. Yeah.
And Alex just gives this little, look, doesn't say anything.
The little look of like, look. Are you sure?
And it's like, I'm a transplant. Are you saying that about me? Because
right.
I'm new here.
Right.
And it's just this perfect little look, and it's just like, okay, perfect.
So it's really good.
Alex doesn't like Ryan. That scene by itself has just
a little eyebrow raise.
Entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, and Steph is just like, I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna give her the business. It's like, well, I gotta see what's gonna happen here, because like
I have written the back half of this line down, because obviously you have the questionable side of the emotion reading thing, which is the conversation with Diane and all that kind of stuff. But when she texts for the distraction, the back half of the line that Steph says is, "Are you blah 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 semi taken, but down to get drunk and make out?" Like, it's just one of my favorite lines.
It's just like the most like open line that Steph has ever said, where it's like, how are you feeling? You want to have a little bit of fun? You want to get drunk, make out? Like, how serious is the thing? And Diana's like, I what? I'll get back to you.
I hate Diana as a character, and as a character, she's fine. I hate her in the game because of who she is and what she represents.
Mm-hmm.
But when she turns to Alex and says, "Am I blushing?" and you can literally see like her face is like bright red from like the cheekbone upwards.
Yep.
It's just like, oh yeah, you're blushing, by the way, and the face is incredible too.
Yeah.
Just, it's so perfect.
Yeah, I think the next thing that happens is like, oh, of course she's got a password on it. We'll go give it to, what's it?
Riley. They give it to
Riley. Thank you. I keep forgetting her name because she's good with computers. I was like, okay, sure. Like, I don't need you to be like, well, I'm hacking into the mainframe. It's like, nah, she's good with computers. Give her the flash drive.
Well, she is, because if you would have collected the memory, then you would have known that she met Mac, because Mac was a jock and she won. She came third in a robotics competition, and Mac said, "Well done," rather than bullying her like the other jocks did.
Right. So this leads straight into the LARP. I had chosen being a bard. I'm not sure if that's the only choice, if the game pushes you into that.
Yes, it is. Okay. It's bard. Your character name is what you choose.
Oh, there it is.
Him is what you choose, and your starting spell is also what you choose.
Oh, okay. Boy, this whole thing is way more clever than I was expecting. It's a lot of like walking and picking up spells and ooh, here's some money. Here's some money. Oh, it's a dire wolf. Wait, now it's just a 2D RPG that we're LARPing in, which is really good.
And I love how much everyone who gets into it goes 100% into it, and everyone who doesn't.
Ryan's got this dumb wolf hat on. He's woo! It's like, oh, Ryan.
And sometimes he laughs. So, like, every now and again, he laughs behind the mask, and then he tries to make up for it with a noise.
Yep.
I will say my favorite is the social media posts that the flower shop puts up, which is like, despite everything going on, flower shop is still open for business until 5 today. And then Steph responds as the magpie
the wizard. Yeah.
Being like, well, clearly some trans-dimensional thing is going on here. We'll have our wizards look into it, I guess.
That's right.
And it's just like,
there's one guy on the Facebook wall that's like, why does it look like there's a Ren fair going? It's like the guy that's always out of the loop on the city's happenings. And he's just like, what is happening here? And Steph like throws a wizard line or something. He's just like, what is going on? What are you guys doing? So yeah, you fight a dire wolf. You go to the I took a quick detour to the flower shop just to say like, hey man, I appreciate you working on the flash drive. I really appreciate you using those computer skills to take down Typhon, am I right? And Riley was like, yeah man, sure, I guess. Okay.
The Black Lantern was great.
Yeah, Black Lantern with Ducky, the town weirdo, being the gnome.
Gosh, Ducky is such a fun character.
He's really... I like that they managed to capture the like small town harmless weirdo, which just like he's just weird. He's not gonna hurt anyone. He's just a weird guy. He's a weird little guy.
He signs his text messages.
He does.
Oh, dude, yes.
So
is Ducky Native American?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because he wears a lot of accoutrement that gives me a Native American vibe.
Sure.
But I don't know if he is or not.
I don't remember them saying that. I just caught that he did some acting back in the day, and he's a wood carver.
Right.
And kind of man of the world who, I don't know. He's just so much fun.
Jed's best friend.
An entrepreneur is how he describes himself as well.
Right. Yeah. I like that both Ethan and Alex are sort of like, boy, they went all out with these body parts in here, huh? Okay. This is for a kid, but sure. Great.
Yeah.
You get the first gem out of there. You go to the record store. where if you
Magpie Emporium. Thank you.
Yes, I apologize to our wizard listeners. You go to the Magpie Emporium, who is
that would be the episode title if we did those.
That's
I
right.
apologize to our wizard listeners.
That's right. 1,000 pardons. I like that Steph has the whole. She's very much in character, which is on brand for her. Even the cat is kind of in character.
Sorry to interrupt in the middle of this. Did you see the inscription on the bar stool? RM and TB?
No, I must have missed that.
There's a graffiti inscribed on one of the bar stools, and it says RM and TB. And Alex wonders who that is. Ducky's full name is Reginald McAllister III.
Wow.
And TB is Tabitha Baker, his deceased wife, who adored the Spring Festival, which explains why he gets sad around the Spring Festival.
Oh, that's why he was always like, it's rough. This day is rough every year. It's going to happen again. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a flower festival.
Oh no, good. Did you guys not help Ducky?
I helped him get his booze.
Yeah, there were a couple of things like that in this game where, like episode 3 and episode 5, I think, or 3 or 4, were both kind of bad. Where it goes through the options at the end, where it's like, here's X percentage of people that did these things, and I'm like, boy, I didn't run into any of those people. I missed a whole thing in these chapters. Jeez.
Yeah, during the Spring Festival, if you. Like, you can emotionally help Ducky.
Okay.
And like it's a pretty heartwarming scene, and it's cool kind of finding out his past. Like
nice.
If you have any inclination to go back and see things you missed in the game, like at least go see that one. Like it's
I gotta play through this game again. Like there's so much stuff I missed in the back half of this game, just kind of by accident. The
LARP and the Spring Festival all take place in a very relatively compact area.
Yeah.
And there is so much to do outside of that area where if you accidentally speak to the wrong person, the chapter is over and you're moving on to the next one.
It's really easy to miss stuff in this game. Like there's, I can't remember. I know there's a couple people I missed the first time through. Like Ducky's in the back of the Black Lantern during the Spring Festival, and you're going into the Black Lantern for a different reason when you go in.
Right.
I think you're going in to meet Steph or someone on the roof. I can't remember how that went.
Yeah, something like that.
It's so you very much have to take a left turn and go to the back and run into him, and then figure out, oh, there's something I can do here.
Right. Where he sits when he's sat by the dartboard, like
back there.
Regular seat. It looks like.
Yeah.
I did read Steph's emotions when she was like,
that's such a good moment.
This bard is looking cool, and you offer your hand in marriage, which she is very pumped about afterwards.
I love that change of color, like the purple. Like, is she just saying it? She's role playing, and then you throw the, I'll exchange. We'll get married for the gem, and she goes from the purple to the golden joy, and it's just like, okay, Did you read the emotions with the gold, by the way?
Yep.
She's like, I do. And Alex's response is like, maybe not in front of Ethan, which is a nice little touch.
Right. I did use my doubloons or whatever to buy a troll potion, and I like that. I think it was Alex. It was either Alex or Ethan was very much like, look, if they're selling a troll potion, we're gonna fight a troll. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna buy that troll potion. We're gonna make this happen. I did. What's up?
Did you solve the riddle?
I solved the riddle from who?
Right outside of the Black Lantern is a jester.
Oh no, no, I didn't solve that.
Oh, I did because it was. It's out. Yeah, it's outside the Black Lantern, and if you read one of the signs in the Black Lantern, it gives you the names of the gems. So,
okay.
If you go outside and answer him, he gives you a coin as well, and he also, I think, gives you a hint, which is the troll can be bribed, which is what I did.
Right. I did like the sea serpent fight where he has that hat and he's like wiggling behind the stone wall. Like it's real.
Yeah.
It's real dumb. The only problem I have in this chapter is that sea serpent fight was too long. I maybe would have rather them broken that fight into two different fights as opposed to that one being long.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
You fought him?
Yeah, I
Newsom.
did, because I made like I tried to like calm him down, and I think Alex was like, "Here, I'm gonna sing you a song," and he just like he yelled and attacks you, and I was like, "Okay, I made a wrong choice somewhere."
Okay, Newsom, how did you deal with the sea serpents?
Oh, I got the what was it? The bell that puts him to
The
sleep.
bell from Ducky at the bar. Yeah, I got it too.
Oh, okay. I didn't see. I got to do another playthrough. There we go.
Yeah, if you talk to him, I don't know if it matters if you tell him off for getting the free drinks or not. I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, I
But if
don't
you
think
keep
I did.
talking
Where
to
I'm
him,
like, whatever, Ducky. You have this dumb hat on. Have some fun.
yeah. But if you keep talking to him, you can ask him for help on the quest, and he gives you a little bell, and it's like all snakes nearby must go to sleep. So
Ah,
as
okay.
soon as you start that fight, you could ring the bell, and he like starts falling asleep. He's like, "Oh, stop!" as he falls asleep.
That's really good. Oh
Gosh.
man. Yeah, and then the last one is the troll on the bridge, which is if you have that potion, it just turns them friendly, which Ryan really plays up, which is really good, and then
That's
Alex forces him to say something nice about both of them,
Yes,
which is
I love it.
the aforementioned seeing into people one. And you you find out that Charlotte has gone ahead and fashioned a real life version of Ethan's comic book sword for him that the gems slot into, and
so good.
it's
Like that
it's
moment,
really good.
that sequence, that entire sequence from when he makes a joke, like Ethan makes a little joke about it. Oh God, it's my mom,
Yeah,
and then
just like, oh, this is the worst.
as soon as they're both back into character again, that entire sequence, all the way through the fight that follows,
Mm-hmm.
is chef's kiss. Like
Yep, it's
game
really
design and storytelling at its finest, including the golden joy moment that
good.
comes
Mm-hmm.
out from it.
Yep.
Like I would arguably put this on par with, and those of you who know me know how much this is going to mean. I would put this on par with the fish cutting section from Edith Finch.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree. Yeah, so he puts the gems in the sword, and we find out, oh no, the king is the bad time the whole time. Which, after finishing this game, wink.
Yeah, yeah.
If you inspect his crown in the Black Lantern after the fact, by the way, it's like, oh, it was good to get to see Jed play the bad guy. And it's like, I hate you, game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this turns into. I like when they go into the fantasy world and the spells and attacks get big and flashy. I thought that was really cool, and hearing Jed's voice actor really lean into like all of his attacks and all that stuff, it was really cool.
I just hit him with burning sword. Curse this fire!
Yeah, he really leans into it. It's so good.
Every time, whoever you use that on, like especially. I used on the direwolf at the very first fight to see what it did, and hear him go, "Ooh, the fire!" It's just like it's so good.
Yeah, he's just like, "Ow, the fire!" And it's like, come on, man.
But yeah, that whole sequence, like one of the most heartwarming moments, is when he pulls the sword up, and like it's the Arthurian thing of he pulls the sword out.
Yep.
And the joy bubble kind of encompasses everybody.
Yep.
And like all of a sudden, there's the castle walls and the stained glass, and Alex is now dressed like a proper bard, which tickles me to no end with the suit and everything. It's so good, that
it's
entire
really good.
sequence.
Yeah, the whole LARP sequence is way more. I mean, I thought it was going to be like, oh, you're in the town, like where the gazebo is, and you're throwing lightning bolt, you know, the kind of stereotypical LARP thing. But seeing the whole town come together and everybody getting into it in kind of varying degrees was really cool.
I love anytime you walk past a random and they were like, "Oh, hi, Ethan," and he's like, "I'm Thanor." And,
right. Or the
Thanor.
The guy laying in the alleyway who had like been attacked by someone. He's like, "This is so boring." And they're like, "He's coming." He's like, "Oh, hello, Thanor." And he's like, "Yep." This leads into the scene we talked about earlier, which is the Charlotte sequence where you're kind of... I really like this scene as a parent of just like, I love this kid so much and I really hate him. Like, it feels like this really honest thing of like, he is like everything in my world, and I will protect him until, until I die, but I feel like he's a little bit responsible. She feels like he's a little bit responsible for Gabe's death, even though she kind of knows not really.
I think this is great because like it's literally placing the blame on everybody and herself for placing the blame on everybody. Like
right,
the three reveals of like, yes, I hate Ryan because he was supposed to save. I
right,
hate Gabe because he was the one. He made me feel like I could have somebody else in my life again when I
right,
didn't need it. And I hate Alex because ever since Alex came along, everything has just gone to crap.
right.
Oh, and by the way, I also hate Ethan because it's kind of your fault. If you would have just listened, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's a really great moment of like, yeah, you've been through some trauma and you don't know who to blame, so you're angry at everyone.
Right.
Completely understandably so.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do that thing where you like go in their mindscape again, and we see the alternate versions of all of her art pieces, which is really good. There was a high chance of that being really cheesy, and I think they did a good job with that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think this is where you, at the end of chapter 4, that's where you, Alex, and Steph go into the USB drive and find out, like, hey, there was another blast. There was Project... What's the Project Rhea? The Rhea Project or whatever?
Yeah.
Yes.
You find out that Typhon is, unsurprisingly, up to some shady things. And there was an unsanctioned blast that you get the phone call of like, cool, Diane, like, I know you don't want this kid to die, but, how much do you want to maybe keep your job? How much do you want to keep this under wraps?
Yeah. Chapter 4 is like, it starts with the Spring Festival, I think,
Yep.
as well.
Yeah, chapter 4 is almost all Spring Festival.
Yeah.
I like the Spring Festival. I do like that they took a little bit of a shortcut here, which I'm kind of okay with. They didn't show the whole day. They literally only showed it from Alex leaving the Black Lantern to the end of the day kind of thing.
Arriving at the Spring Festival of, holy crap, you own a skirt, which is a really great line.
It's a great line, yeah. That is a good one.
Yeah.
And like you can see, like there's an uninflated like bounce house behind the stage, like to one side. There's like all of the aftermath of everything else going on.
Most of the food and drinks are gone. Yeah.
Day drink is on Main Street. Like it's a really good thing of like, yes, this was a big thing. Now this is kind of just the aftermath.
Right.
I'm guessing we all did the Rose, and I'm guessing we all did Steph.
100%. Yeah, I wasn't gonna... Come on, that's not even... and it was definitely the right choice when she was super pumped about it. It's like one of the moments where you see her not really... Like, her walls are down a little bit, which was kind of nice to see. Yeah, I did that. I helped the guy guessing jelly beans. Mostly because the lady was like, yeah, another year I get to keep this gift card for myself. And I'm like, hell no. What? No. I'm going to use my mind reading powers, lady.
Did you help the bird watcher and the guy with the lost dog?
Nope.
Yes.
Those were two I missed.
Guy with the lost dog was the bean counter guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's really good.
Yeah, I had one of those moments in chapter 4 where I'm like, oh, who's this? Oh, the story is going. Okay, I'm sorry, everything else I didn't see. I did talk to Charlotte on the dock, though, who is having a rough time, but seemingly kind of coming to terms with everything, which was a nice capstone to me not taking her anger, was just sort of like, now that some of that burned off, she seems like she's making a little bit of progress, at least.
I don't remember this scene much from my first playthrough, but I remember it being very different.
Okay.
Because this one is more about her healing, and Alex gets to be a friend. And if you take her anger, like, she's very distant in this scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a good line in that where it's sort of like Charlotte starts saying, like, if things had been different, and Alex gets to say, like, yeah, man, like, there's still time, which is kind of nice.
And I will admit, I do like the fact that the quote-unquote Zen moments in this game are majority optional. Like, you don't have to do them. That is one of them. There's another one where you can sit on the edge of the pier in, like, Chapter 2. There's one where you can sit in the park. There's a whole bunch of them where you can just...
I think Chapter 1 has the classic sit on your bed, listen to music one.
I believe it does, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still a sucker for those. I know they're almost a meme at this point in these games, but I love them. You get to listen to some cool indie music and look at some graphics. I'm sold.
And the fact that you get two or three lines usually of Alex's inner thoughts as well, right at the beginning of them.
Yeah, that's
that by itself is amusing.
They do a real good job with that in the game. And speaking of, we're gonna wind up talking about every scene in this game, evidently. In the first episode, like, with her and Gabe jamming out the Kings of Leon on such a fun, heartwarming moment, which obviously just makes his death even that harder. But I'm so glad, like, but in a way it makes it easier, I guess, because I'm glad that they got to have that free moment together of just goofing off.
Right.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. Because speaking of...
I tried to put that broom on the memory table, by the way.
Oh, nice. Because speaking of music, this is where Alex and Steph get to play their own little music thing. Steph earlier had said, like...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for laughing, and I'm sorry for interrupting. This is one of my favorite cuts in movies, in cinema, in anything ever.
Where Alex is just playing? Like, who's going to be playing?
Yeah, who else is playing? And then it literally cuts, and it's a perfect cut because she doesn't move, and it's just her with the red cloth behind her and the spotlight
and a guitar.
On
It's like, I hate you too.
She says, "I effing hate you both." It's just so good.
I like
the comic time is amazing.
I also like the choice you get, which is like, we didn't tell you because we thought you would chicken out, and the choice I took is chickening out is highly underrated. Yeah, and she was just like, I could have just run, no one would have stopped me. It's really good. It's they play violent femmes, and it's, I mean, you know that song from the first rum of the guitar anyway. It's such an iconic song. But it goes off without a hitch. She goes up and meets... Before she's going to meet with Pike to give him the USB stick, she goes to meet with Steph at the bar's apartment rooftop area. And Steph lets her know, I'm leaving, and I want you to come with me. We're going to start a band or something. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, and my answer to that was, we'll see. I don't know about that.
Very much the same. Like, being together, great. Leaving is a question mark. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but there's whole bunch of baggage that we need to deal with first before anybody goes anywhere.
Right. Yeah. There's some town related stuff going on first. So yeah, I like that Steph doesn't pressure you into an answer right then. She's just like, I'm letting you know. I'm gonna get out of here. I want you to come with me. I'd be really upset if you didn't, because I think we got a cool thing going. But I don't need an answer right now. Think about it. Bye. And then...
Did you hug or kiss?
I kissed. Which was...
Newsom, did you hug or kiss?
Oh, kiss. Why wouldn't you?
Okay. I was just checking because it's the great moment of you press that button, you get close, and then the emotions flare up, and it's Steph saying, "Kiss me, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me."
Yeah, it's that for me was the payoff where it's like, yeah, we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
There's the least surprising scene in this game. You go downstairs to give Pike the USB stick, and oh no, you got to come down to the station with me, because I'm a Typhon cop.
Yeah.
And he's Diane and Typhon are pressing charges on you. Throws around a lot of like felony words and prison for 7 to 10 and stuff like that. The long and short of it is Pike wants you to sign a document from Typhon that says like, hey, if you get out of this, Typhon's going to drop all charges. Also, we have a dossier on all of your friends, and we've been spying on you hardcore.
Yup.
So we know that you not only stole the USB stick, but you've been poking around in there something fierce. And the big decision here is you can sign the affidavit or take away Pike's fear. And I signed the affidavit because I chose to sign the affidavit because I didn't want to take away his fear. Because same with Charlotte, where it's like I'm not going to be doing this.
You some?
The first time I played through, I signed because I was scarred by what I did to Charlotte.
Okay. All right.
This time, I took away his fear, and that wound up actually being really good.
Interesting.
I took his fear because, as a cop, he shouldn't be afraid of the giant corporation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is letting their influence, their influence affect his job.
Mm-hmm.
So screw that. Get rid of the fear. Get rid of the consequences and the reprisals potentially of what this giant mega corporation might do, and do your GD job.
Right.
Like
the only cop in town. Come on. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a deputy. He's a sheriff's deputy. Who's the sheriff?
Probably a dog. It's a small town in the middle of nowhere. Like,
that is true. A dog with a hat and a cigarette.
100%.
Well, I took that fear in a heartbeat. I was like, I am not signing nothing, because if the way I thought it was, the times that you're sitting at the bar and you're having conversations with Ryan and Steph about the potential consequences of your actions, they are game. They don't care. They are 100% down for figuring out what happened. And I just thought to myself, they would do it. If they would not sign it. So I'm not going to.
Yeah, I wanted to be all like, screw the corporation, anarchy, but I figured I would stick with the same decision I made with Charlotte, where it's like I'm okay in the confines of the story with looking at and listening to people's emotions, but the idea of influencing them so drastically, even if it's for something positive, to me that felt like an overstep. It's interesting
because it's an invasion.
Yeah. Right. It's interesting to hear that this one does turn out so positively, when I feel like it's easy to see how the Charlotte one could very quickly turn negative. So
the Charlotte one is super negative. Like, I don't think she sides with you in episode 5 if you take her anger away.
Yeah.
Whereas Pike will side with you if you take his fear away. Like, it's
interesting.
I don't.
It's literally something he says. He says, "I'm not afraid of you no more."
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't know exactly what the game is trying. Like, to me, it's probably immoral to take away anyone's emotion on this stuff. So I'm not entirely sure what the game is trying to communicate to me in the difference in situations there. But that's probably my one criticism of the game, is the difference between these two decisions and whatever I am missing in terms of the morality detail between them.
Oh, sure. Right. Chapter 4 ends with you going back home and spilling your guts to Jed, saying like, hey man, like Typhon, he's got a secret. He's got a secret down there they did another explosion about. I need to know what's down there. And Jed is like, I'm tired of keeping their secrets. And Alex says like, oh, I need you to tell me. Because I'll do you one better. I'll show you. And I was like, oh, cool, he's going to show me. Like, I'm very much the rube being like, oh, yeah, let's go in the woods.
100%.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah, and he shoots you. He
tries to shoot you in the face.
yeah, Jed's got a gun, man.
Your back is
like
to
that
him, and
Aerosmith
Alex
song.
goes, "Jed, why are you sad?"
That was a really great like camera shot of just like, Jed, why are you so sad? And it turns and he's got that gun. I was like, I should have seen that coming. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
but
I did not see it coming my first time through either.
No, definitely super well written, super well acted. Yeah, he shoots you, the bullet grazes you, and you fall down the mine shaft. And there's that incredible shot of the like, almost looks like she's falling through water. That giant blue shot. That's just like, yeah, man.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the trailer shots too.
Oh, really?
Is hilarious when you put it in context.
Yeah.
Man, what a nightmare would it have been to wait if this came out episodically. You had to wait
yeah, like
3 months after
that's one of my things is like, I'm glad that all 5 episodes came out so you can just kind of go through all of them. But man, the wait between 4 and 5 would have been incredible. It would have been like, you could have seen the news stories of like, okay, if you're not playing True Colors at this point, episode 4 ended incredibly. Go play these now before 5 comes out. But my recommendation will be, go play this game.
Yes, I think by doing it all in one, they've also avoided the misdirected hype train, which is like, look, this is all of the possibilities that could come from here. I give you Mass Effect 3 as the prime example of a hype train going completely off the rails. That's like, that's not how this kind of thing goes. Like, you can't come up with 70,000 different explanations.
Right. Well, and I think they avoided the trap of every episode has to be X number of hours or Y amount of value because it's the only thing that comes out once every however long they're going to come out. So like episode 3 and 4 can be pretty short, but like episode 4 alone is incredible, but maybe it's only an hour and a half long. That's fine by me, but because you got episode 5 coming right after that. But I could see where there could be some frustration where people are like, I've just spent like another $12 and I got an hour and a half, and now I got to wait for episode 5. Like it's nice to see them kind of avoid that stuff. There's that harrowing sequence that opens chapter 5, which is just her trying to grab onto that ladder. And
I think that's after the doctor's scene. I think it's the doctor scene, and then it's that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the chapter 5 opens the same way that chapter 1 opens, except the sheet of people with the feelings behind her are like all Alex faces now, and she's not talking to anybody.
They're not at the beginning. They change as soon as you stand up to all Alex.
Yeah.
Like,
so you go through the like mind palace of Alex at that point, putting the guitar back together, which was a pretty fun little, like, that felt like the most adventure gamey thing in this game, which is like collecting all the pieces, like dumping the little tuning key out of the picture. Like that's some pretty good stuff.
Did you get the case file?
I think so.
Where it's like it ends with like the best solution for Alex is to be thrown into the void and never seen from again, and it's just like, okay.
Oh no, I didn't.
Great.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Goodness.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys are gonna have to remind me what happens after she tunes the guitar. Do we start going through all of her memories at that point?
It's tune the guitar, wake up, try and get the ladder, fall further. Then it's the dad scene. Oh no, then it's the mom scene. Mom scene first.
Right. It starts with the mom in the hospital. A really interesting way that they played these two scenes back to back of like.
Question. Is Life is Strange True Colors a time loop game?
I hate you. But I do like how they dealt with these kind of repressed memories of like Gabe continually popping back up being like, play your part. And is that really how that happened?
his delivery is fantastic when he's like, you're 10, I'm 14,
Right.
this is the hospital,
Yep.
play your part. And then
Yep.
immediately starts hitting her like a 14-year-old would hit his
Yeah.
10-year-old sister.
Yep. Yeah, you get introduced to both their mom and dad. Find out that their mom is dying, and you go through that scene twice to figure out what really happened, and then the one after that is them in their house.
Where
with
their
the-
dad leaves them.
Mm-hmm. Which is just
the Dido scene is how I've referred to that one, because it plays "Thank You" by Dido, which is an incredible song. And I'm not talking about the version Eminem spliced into his song for Stan. I'm talking about just Dido's version is incredible. And the fact that that's what gets put on the record player is just a really great moment.
Yeah, and another really great when their dad leaves, just another really great bit of like facial animation and character animation of just that guy just giving up. Like it's really really good. I think the next one is in the orphanage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another pretty good scene of just like, yeah, it sucks here. Like, play your part. I'm gone. You're here. It sucks. Nobody wants you.
Do you guys get why she's not allowed the guitar in the dorm?
No, I don't think
I'm actually not sure if you guys even got it. There's a guitar strings that you can do the memory thing for on the bed.
So I saw those, and they would only let her play in
like the common room.
Yeah, and she was very much like, well, I don't need it when I'm in the common room, which I guess I read that scene as like she needed it. Like I play when I'm emotional, like sometimes, and it helps me. So I was interpreting it as that. So maybe there's a detail I missed there. Okay.
It's 100% why she wants it in the dorms, but the reason she's not allowed it in the dorms, no glass, no sharp objects.
Oh, sure.
Guitar strings are essentially a lethal weapon.
I mean, it was like, it was that beginning line of no glasses. We had to drink from the water. What is the word for water container?
Dispenser.
Water dispenser.
With
plastic cups, because you can't have glass. You can't have glasses in here.
Right.
Like just like a hamster, except that hamsters don't throw glasses at each other.
Forgot about that.
That was a pretty heart-wrenching scene. Like you go and you sit in the chair, and you have all the different people examining you and like saying, I don't think we're really equipped for a troubled teen, and things like that.
Yeah.
It brings into sharp light something I've known about the adoption system for a long time, is most people who adopt are not looking for a teen. They're looking for a baby.
Right.
And as soon as you hit above a certain age in the system, the likelihood of you being adopted is lower and lower and lower every single year, and it's a kick to the guts.
Yeah.
To see it literally laid bare this effectively is impressive.
Yeah. Was there another scene after that, or is that when she wakes up? I think that's when she wakes up.
Flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when she wakes up. Yeah.
Yeah, she wakes up and starts stumbling around, lights the lantern with the last match that Gabe left her, and
never give up on the inside of that.
That's right. That burns out pretty quickly, and then she rides the red glow. Yes, Mr. Moon, raising his hand.
Question from the class here.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Gabe's make things right list?
Yes.
Yes. Oh gosh, heartbreaking. Yeah. Just. Yeah.
That occurred to me during this because, like, the last thing on his list is forgive Dad.
Right. Oh, super rough. So yeah, you kind of ride the red glow from one of the shafts, and you find a memory from Jed and John Chen. That part of the Hell Raisers?
Hell Riders.
Hell Riders. And you find, heartbreakingly, you find the little necklace that Alex had thrown at him many years later, which is just real rough.
Yeah.
The truth about the collapse. The truth about the thing he is regarded as a hero for.
Yep. He left most of his squad down there after digging too deep, and they drowned. Which is...
The dwarves were all a greedy bunch. They always were.
Yep. Real rough. And then we kind of get to the extended ending scene of a very bloody and battered Alex busting in on like the town meeting, with her confronting Jed. And I feel like this is kind of where your choices throughout the game kind of start coming home to roost here. And things didn't go well for me in this, as Alex laid out her whole thing, and everyone went, okay. Anyway, Charlotte sided with me, and Steph did, and that was it. Ducky's...
I didn't get Ducky.
Yeah, I didn't get anybody else.
Yeah.
During the spring festival, I didn't do his thing. My
sure.
guess.
So first time through the game, I think I only got Steph and maybe Riley, because Riley was there instead of Eleanor.
Riley was not there for me.
The second time through, I had Eleanor, and I got everyone.
Sorry to rewind a second. Did you say goodbye to Riley at the bus stop, Boston?
Nope. I didn't even know that's a thing you could do until I think that chapter was over. And I was like, I sure missed a lot in this chapter too. Okay.
Because it's the Spring Festival one, and you're in this tiny little area.
Yep.
And then you get a text message from your boy who's 2 feet away saying, everything's ready, and you could literally just skip the rest of the town.
Yep.
But go ahead, sorry, Mason. You said you had everyone on the second playthrough?
Yeah, everyone... I mean, except Diane, obviously, but like everyone sided with me. Like Ducky, you just got to dance with. Ryan, I'm not really sure what causes him to side with you and what doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I'm a little foggy with that. He actually, it's funny because like you go to talk to him, you have two choice like options. I think I chose the "I'm so sorry" one on this one. I said that, and he goes, "I am too," and I thought, crap, I missed him again. And then he starts trying to reason with his dad and sides with you.
I think the first conversation you have with him, or the first option, because he gives you two options, one right as you walk in and one after when you have to expose Jed. And the first option, I can't remember what the second one was, but the option I chose was, I got something that you really need to hear. And I gave him that one and then apologized to him after when I was about to expose Jed.
Right.
I will say the first time I played this game, I was not trying to be emotionally sensitive to anyone. I was in the FU, let's change everything. And this time I was like, let me try to be emotionally sensitive to Ryan and choose responses that might kind of ease him into it.
Right, instead of like dropping a bomb on him.
Yeah.
Right. And there's kind of an extended sequence here where Alex uses some sort of emotional stop power on Jed and lists all of his sins.
I think she does to him exactly what she did to Diane. She forces him to face the consequences of his actions and tells him everything. Because this sequence, it's long and it's drawn out, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. But the thing I really liked about this sequence is the constant changing of colors as she forces him to deal with different emotions. Like, you see his blue of his guilt, you see the purple of his fear, you see the flash of red in her eyes at the very end when it's just looking at her, and her eyeballs basically light up bright red as it reflects off him. I love this sequence.
And it's lit really interestingly. Like, it's just the two of them, and kind of everything around them is really dark. It's a really cool effect. And you get the sort of a smaller choice than the one you get later, which is, do you forgive Jed or do you find him wanting? That was one of the easier choices for me in the game, which is very much I don't forgive you. Like, you have done so many really terrible things and have lied about them for so long, and you shot me, man. Not okay with that.
Musim, forgive or condemn?
Well, I did both. The first time through, I did condemn because he shot me.
Right.
And the second time
it's
through,
a graze. It's a graze. Come
That's
on,
right.
that's just a flesh wound.
the
That's
second
right.
time through, I'd been mentally prepping myself the entire game to forgive him. I'm like, you have to find reasons to forgive this guy so you can select it and see what difference it makes. And it makes almost no difference in terms of the ending of the game.
Sure.
It changes what his note to you with the bomber jacket says.
Okay.
Okay. I forgave him because the whole flashback sequence was her dealing with other people blaming her and her blaming other people and her also hating herself. And if there's one person in this entire town who probably hates himself just as much, if not more, than she hates herself,
Sure.
it's him.
Funny way to break the cycle.
We've all done it where we've made a mistake, it's made us feel guilty, and we don't want to admit we made a mistake. Granted, we didn't kill 7 people. But we've all done it where we've made just a small mistake, and it's like, well, crap, that rather than feel guilty about it, we'll just brush it off.
Right.
And that can be getting the wrong kind of milk. That can be getting, a type of creamer or buying something that your partner is allergic to. We've all done it.
Right.
I think there's an argument either way, despite Jed continually mishandling that aspect of his life, and that he has very much been over backwards. Like, obviously, he knows that this is freaking his co-workers' freaking kids. Like that has to be why he keeps taking them in. He's such a fascinating character. Like, I'd like to know, like, they took kind of the white capitalist ideal in terms of like what a lot of white culture says is a good person. Like, oh, this is a hard worker who wants to help other people become hard workers, who very much cares about people and is this family first type of thing. And
he's given to his community, and he's a hero because he's done heroic actions in the past.
Yeah. Big manly guy, but also he's the reason, like, all of this stuff, like, intentionally or not, and inadvertently, and a lot of it, like, he's the reason this situation has occurred and these people are dead because of him.
Right.
And he is probably, like, not to give the guy justification for his actions, but these small mining towns depend on mining companies.
Right.
Whether we all want to admit or not, none of us have lived in a tiny town with 6 buildings, basically. Like, they depend on this structure to be able to keep the town alive. So he's probably sitting there thinking, well, this is the company that kept my town alive the entire time I was there. It's the company that's responsible for me being here, meeting my wife, having a kid.
Right.
I need to do what it takes to keep the town alive.
Right.
Not thinking to himself, there is other mining companies and there is other places and things like that.
He just doesn't want the town to be a ghost town.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of understandable. I don't think it's justified, but it's understandable why he might have this view of the world.
See, so he had already had Ryan when the accident occurred.
Right.
And so for, like, my interpretation of it was less like, I feel like he owed a debt to the town. And just stayed in bed. Like, he didn't, obviously it was his mistake. And I think he always knew that, like, deep down underneath. And he just used Typhon as a tool to kind of bury that and try to make up for it, even though it's impossible to make up for. So, like, I could go kind of either way on it. He obviously does not deserve forgiveness, but, a lot of the times, and this may be why this decision doesn't amount to much in the game, like, forgiveness is a lot of the time about the person forgiving, right? It's about you letting go of those negative emotions. And I think Alex probably deserved to hold on to those negative emotions for another year or two. But it's okay. I'd be interested in hearing an interview with the writers in terms of kind of their interpretation of it and kind of the framing they put around some of these things. I think that would be a really fascinating read.
Also, it just randomly clicked on me at the very beginning of chapter 1. Ryan has a conversation with Alex where he's like, yeah, he saved a bunch of people, and then Typhon bought him the Black Tavern.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That never clicked. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Typhon had interest in, obviously, like, no one ever finding that about, you know? Like,
right. Yep.
Gosh.
The funny thing is, for me, I was reading all the inspection reports and everything like that. I assumed that the second explosion wasn't to cover the 7 people dying. I assumed the second explosion was to cover an incorrectly sealed old mine, where it wasn't sealed correctly. So they had to do that to ensure that their future inspections passed, to make sure that they followed the rules.
that was my thing, where it's like it was a cover up for something that wasn't on the up and up, not murder.
I'm pretty sure my first time through the game, I thought some Alan Wake stuff was about to happen.
that was like, my thing too, when they announced to like Project Rhea, and I was like, oh my, are there aliens down there? Like, is that the twist here? All right, we're running a little bit long here, so let's hit up our endings here, because depending on what you do and who you give a rose to and all that stuff, my ending sequence, you go up to the roof, you sit down with Gabe, and you say like, hey man, what should I do? And mine showed me a preview of staying in the town with Steph and kind of like making a life there, and it 100% made me cry, and I was like, well, I gotta stay now. Like, you're giving me the option to stay in Haven or leave. Like, I'm gonna stay in Haven, and that's the one I picked. Musa, which one did you get?
First time through, I left.
Okay.
Like, it gave me, it kind of shows you the entirety of both endings in a way. Before you choose them. But the first time I left, because I was like, man, I just came in and ruined this town. I probably should leave. And the second time I stayed.
Okay.
I left.
Okay.
Because don't get me wrong, that ending sequence was incredible. Like the what happens if you stay sequence. Like I love that entire sequence. But the town is always going to be there. Or it's most likely still going to be there. Go do the adventure, have your time, push and shove. You can always go home, because this is their home now, like whether they want to admit it or not. So I left. Let's give the music thing a shot. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
And it ends with Alex about to step out on stage and perform in front of a crowd, a sizable crowd.
Oh, nice.
And your phone goes off, and it's just a text message from Steph saying, "You go knock him dead" or something like that.
Interesting.
And then it cuts to black after she introduces herself. It's really sweet. Both endings are really sweet. But that, what happens if you stay? Like, I like the fact that they do the callback to him being the ghost spirit, where it's like, I'm 10, you're 14. This is what happens, and he's like, "Well, let me give you this option." And he's like, 3 hours from now.
Right.
This is what happens, and it's so good.
Yep. Yeah, the whole thing was really great. I liked True Colors a whole lot. I think I might be with you, Musum. I think this might be my favorite one. Like 1 and Before the Storm and 2 are all good for their own reasons, but I feel like in this one, Deck 9 really kind of honed in on what makes modern adventure games good and what makes telling a Life is Strange story good. And I think they managed to nail both of those, not only from like an engine standpoint, like we've been talking about kind of the whole time, but I feel like they kind of get what makes Life is Strange great, and I would like to see them continuing to do this. Like, just keep on making new ones. Go nuts.
I mean, if they want to keep giving numbered ones to the main studio and like side stories to these guys, go nuts. This is probably my favorite Life is Strange. I think certain moments in other Life is Strange have probably hit me harder.
Yeah.
But I think overall this has got the best balance, like throughout, like the highs and the lows come to a higher average kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my main issues with the other ones, Life is Strange, Before the Storm, that's a bad ending. You know that is a bad ending.
It's a train wreck coming the whole time. Yep.
Life is Strange 2 is heartbreak from start to finish. There is no very little positivity in that game. Yeah. That is a dark game, granted, for dark times when it came out. And it tells the story unequivocally, and it can have a happy ending, it can have a sad ending. Whatever. But Life is Strange 2 is super dark-sided. Life is Strange 1 is probably the most thoughtful one, like the most middle-of-the-road one going. The fact that you have to destroy an entire town and essentially, potentially the world, because you don't know, because of the effects that the powers are having.
No, the rest of the world's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
We know that now.
Right.
Knew that in 2. You ran into what's his name?
Yeah.
Yes. Ran into what's his name, saw, a crater where the town used to be. Whatever.
I know I'm a bad person.
No, dude. It's one of those things, like, at the end of the day, it's like, the way I view Life is Strange 1 is what do you do for the people you love? What would you sacrifice for the people you love?
Right.
In that case, would you sacrifice a small township? Yes, 100%. If I was, this is the trolley problem all over. It's like, would I sacrifice these 8 people to save the one person I love? Yes, I would. I don't care. Everybody would. But it feels so. This is a good balance in True Colors, because this isn't an end of the world story.
Right.
This isn't, an entire city is going to get demolished. This is, does a giant corporation fail or not?
It's a mystery.
By the way, yeah. Did Typhon crash and burn for you, by the way, Boston?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they did for me too. And it's like, okay, one giant corporation suffered a minor setback, essentially. But the town and the people are fine. They will recover. My character and my significant others in the game are okay, not okay, and they'll recover. But it's the Marvel problem. Life is Strange 1 and 2 are arguably big scope games, like potentially global changing games. Whereas this is very much a small personal story, and I really appreciated the fact it was like, yeah, it's a small town. This is the situation, and these are the consequences. It's not, Alex isn't going to go and show the world how she can levitate an entire border guard army.
Right.
She's just going to go out there, and one of the reasons I left is because, as someone who is emotive and empathetic the way she is, she can genuinely make big changes with music that most people probably wouldn't be able to. If you could absorb people's emotion and direct that into an art form so effectively, you're going to make changes that will make people understand how to feel, or how this certain type of thing will make you feel, how other things will make you feel, which is something that not many musicians can do.
Right.
So I decided to leave because, she could genuinely change the world with just music, never mind the fact that she can, feel everyone's emotions and embrace that. Like, in her journal, she's always writing song lyrics in every single margin for every emotion that she feels.
Right.
Like, go, do it. Haven will be there when you finish, or it won't be, whatever. But the people will stay in touch.
Yeah. Yeah, super glad we played this. I'm very happy that it turned out really well, and I hope that it seems like maybe Don't Nod isn't that interested in making more of these, or can't. Who knows with the sale from Square Enix, but hopefully at the very least Deck 9 continues to make them, because they figured it out. They're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Don't Nod, just make vampire games.
Yeah, you stick to vampires.
Life is Strange games.
Yeah, that's a good deal. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, next month is going to be Umurangi Generation. I'm going to see you all in a month. Bye.
Bye.
Boy.